In 1827, Massachusetts was the first state to start requiring free public schools. In 1867, the Federal Office of Education, now known as the Department of Education, was formed to help establish stronger schools. Then in 1965, the Elementary and Secondary Act was passed by U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson. The law was created to raise academic achievement by giving money to schools to help disadvantaged students. The law
In answer to the question, how did the Elementary and Secondary Education Act affect students, teachers, and staff? That was passed in 1964. I began teaching in 1978. So as a beginning teacher, I really didn't understand very much about how that funding worked or what was happening. All of our schools had Title I teachers, so we all knew that that was a federally funded program and that we had extra support paid for by the federal government to help students with reading.
In 2002, the No Child Left Behind Act was signed into law by U.S. President George W. Bush. The government felt that too many of the neediest students were left behind, so they decided it was best to step in and reward success and sanction failure. The top priorities of No Child Left Behind included improving the academic performance of disadvantaged students, improving teacher quality, moving limited English proficient students to English fluency, promoting informed parental options and innovative programs, encouraging safe schools for the 21st century, providing impact aid, and encouraging freedom and accountability.
I have a vivid memory of my PowerPoint and standing in front of teachers and their reaction to No Child Left Behind was they almost mocked it, and I don't even mean that in a disrespectful way, but I think it was about this notion that 100% of our students could meet the same target at the same time in the same way. And so much of what educators learn is about the individual needs of students. And, it seemed to go, there was a direct conflict between what we were expected to do and what we had learned about meeting the needs of individual children. Having said that, as a school administrator, I certainly recognize the value in ratcheting up expectations for kids, increasing our rigor. I did truly buy into we can do better.
Although not in place yet, in 2015, President Barack Obama signed the Every Student Succeeds Act. The Every Student Succeeds Act is a revised version of the 1965 Elementary and Secondary Act. In the revised version, states are accountable for allocating their resources to low-performing schools. There is flexibility for states to make their own educational path. The Act supports states in implementing assessments by providing new assessment flexibility, funding, and a new pilot program.
What I think is good about it is I do think allowing states to have more say is good really on two levels. I think number one, there's a lot of pushback against the federal government, and I think it just makes it all cloudy and murky for the people who are working in the field. I think that standardized testing remained. I think that if states can figure out ways to utilize testing, what we now know and can do with adaptive testing with computers, so that we really are looking more at growth rather than at proficiency. I think that'll be huge. I think that's fair. I think, I think it is fair to measure districts by how much they move kids. I do think we still have to keep our eye on a target that's rigorous, because I do think that every child deserves, and the point of a public education is to ensure that every child has access to be whatever he or she wants to be. And so, having